So this channel, Investing with Ken, it's a little broader than probably what people normally think of in terms of investing. So a couple of things that we're definitely going to cover in a lot of different videos. First of all, we're going to talk a lot about businesses, because obviously a lot of investment is related to investing in businesses. So this channel is going to be about multiple things, all centered around business, entrepreneurship, personal finance and personal growth, and of course, investing. So if you have an interest in these topics of business, entrepreneurship, personal finance, and personal growth, and investing, any of those in and around those topics, that is what this channel is going to talk about in lots of different aspects and different videos. So if you like those topics, if you're interested in learning more about those topics, hit the subscribe so that you will get notified when we do more videos. And we're going to try to do a decent amount of content to build up our value that we're giving to all of you guys out there who are subscribing and liking our content. And in terms of the aspects of business, entrepreneurship, personal finance, and growth and investing, we're going to do a lot of different formats around that. So I'm still formulating, or we're still formulating exactly what types of videos we're going to do as you watch this. If you do have comments or things that you want us to cover, suggestions, topics, questions, please send those in. You can even email them to me, info@ridgewoodinvestments.com, or leave them in the comments section. So, but some of the formats or ideas that we have around those topics of business, entrepreneurship, personal finance, and personal growth and investing would be things like explanatory videos. So we're going to take a question or a particular topic, and we're going to explain how things work in that area. Or we're going to break it down into simpler pieces, and we're going to walk folks through so that they can really understand these different things, jargon that seems complicated. A lot of times, if you break them down into their component pieces, they're actually a lot easier to understand. So one set of videos or subjects that we're going to cover in our channel is going to be explanations, or how does something work, or how to do something. So that's going to be one broad area that we're going to cover. A second area, which is somewhat related, is related to perspectives and frameworks. So in those same topical areas, we're going to share different perspectives and frameworks. Another way to refer to these is mental models. So Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's partner, he talks a lot about in life, you want to go through, you want to be observant, you want to be constantly learning, and you want to be collecting mental models. In fact, he has a phrase or an idea which he calls lattice work of mental models. And people that are familiar with the lattice work, it's where things crisscross and interconnect. And that is how mental models work. So if you have a lot of mental models and you have the right mental models and they're robust, they self-connect with each other and reinforce each other, so that even when you see new things in your life or new situations, you have a lot of different mental models to draw on. So one of the things that we're going to cover in this channel is different mental models that are very good and effective, and mental models to avoid. So that's going to be another broad area, whether you want to call it mental models or perspectives or frameworks. We're going to cover a bunch of those in and around those topic areas that I'm so passionate about. Another way that we're going to do that, again, related to the two things that I just mentioned, is book reviews. So I read a lot. I love reading. In fact, reading is a key skill, key habit to cultivate if you want to be successful in fields like business and investing and entrepreneurship. In fact, I think it was, again, Charlie Munger, who said that I don't know any successful person, and he meant, I think, very, very successful person, who doesn't read all the time. And if you want to extend out what he meant, I think he also meant who isn't constantly learning all the time and exposing themselves to new ideas and new things. Reading is a particularly, I think, quick and efficient way to do it. In today's world, of course, things like YouTube and audio podcasts and audio books are kind of the equivalent. I have several children. I believe that pretty much anything that my kids want to learn, their first impulse or instinct is to go to YouTube and type it in and watch some videos, jump around. Sometimes they watch them at higher speed, but that clearly reading alone is not the only thing. It's not the only way to learn, not the only way to expose yourself to a diversity of ideas. But I have over the years found a lot of good books, good articles, good research papers, and I'm going to be selective, but I'm going to pick some of those out, some great ones, some that I think are more in the past that may not have been, people aren't today exposed to them as commonly, but that I got a lot out of, and I'm going to share those. So that's going to be another way that we're going to touch on these topics of business, entrepreneurship, personal finance, and personal growth, and investing. And also, I think in that personal finance, personal growth area, we're going to cover obviously a lot of financial strategies, financial tips. I just did, or the other video that is going to come very soon after this one is about how much to save and how to save. So look for that. And that one is going to be both a how-to, but it's also knowledge on the financial side. Things that really everybody should be learning in high school or college. But in fact, most people don't get exposed to these super important topics, which is really a shame. So we're going to try to create content that addresses some of those gaps. And the other area that we're going to use as a way to cover these topics is looking and studying mostly success, but also potentially failure. So we're going to talk about certain companies and how did they become successful, or certain people, certain investors, or certain CEOs. So look for future videos like how did Warren Buffett become so successful at investing? Or, how did Jeff Bezos make Amazon so successful, et cetera. So we're going to look at particular companies or particular individuals, or sometimes a combination of the two, as a way to learn a lot about business and entrepreneurship, or personal finance and personal growth, and or investing. And the last thing I want to talk about in our introduction to the channel, Investing with Ken, is how we think about investing. So I think when most people hear the word investing, they usually think of it in a more narrow sense of, I'm going to invest in stocks, or I'm going to invest in X. When they think about investing, they're typically thinking about putting money into something to get a return on that money, and hopefully a return of the money as well, which, by the way, doesn't always happen. A topic for another day. But when I think of investing, and when we say investing in the channel, I think we're thinking of it in a much broader sense, which hopefully makes sense given what we're talking about, our interest and passion is for these topics. So when I think about investing, or when I'm talking about investing with Ken, I'm talking about investing in a very broad sense, which means, first and foremost, the main thing that limits all of us is our time and our ability. We can never get the time back. So making investments in yourself, and ultimately everything is about, I believe, time and freedom. So our goal is always to help everyone, our clients, and anyone that learns from any of the things, or uses some of these tips, or watches our videos, is to help them get to freedom. And so that sense of investing, to do that, is actually multifaceted, which is, one, it might mean investments in yourself. Two, it might mean becoming an entrepreneur, or you own a business, or you work in a business, and investments in that business, making that business successful. And third, in that more narrower sense, is how do you learn enough to have your money invested in other things that are connected to other people? So basically, that would be stocks of companies traded in the stock market, or it could be real estate, income real estate, or it could be many other areas, could be cryptocurrency. So we think of investing in those three broad areas. And so as you think about investing, don't just limit it to thinking about investing in third-party companies or third-party situations. In fact, where most people have to start is by investing in yourself. That's what education is about. And education never ends, it's lifelong. And if you happen to have a business, or if you ever aspire to have a business in the future, the investments that you make in your own business are obviously going to far exceed in the returns you get compared to, in most cases, a passive investment that you make in some third party, enterprise that's publicly traded or what have you. But all of those types of investments are super important, and all of those investments are going to be areas of exploration and topics for our channel. So thanks for watching. I hope this introduction to Investing with Ken, our YouTube channel, was helpful. If you liked the content, please hit the like button. And if you want to make sure that you get notified about our future videos, please hit subscribe right here so that we can share future content with you. Really looking forward to it, and welcome your comments and questions at any time. Thanks a lot. Take care.